All right, you beautiful people. Today I want to talk about the framework, not the methodology. I guess it's more of the formula for building the startup of you. All right, whenever you want to start a professional brand, whenever you are exploring this, this is the framework. This is kind of the workflow that I think makes the most sense because it's repeatable, it's easy to do, and I have lots of reference stories of my own about how I've leveraged this. First and foremost is the planning. You need to understand what it is that you want to be seen as an authority or an influencer, what kind of topic that would be. And it could be as broad or as niche as you want. It could be, I want to be well known in the sales training space. It could be, I want to be, an authority on disaster recovery. I want to be a content marketing, expert, whatever that is. You need to understand what that is, you need to define it, and then you need to plan for it. And in the planning phase, there's multiple steps. You want to understand who the other influencers are, what are the topics that the audience is going to care about. You just want to do the initial planning. Once that legwork is done, then you're able to move into building the network you need. Now, many of you already have connections on LinkedIn, Twitter, other places, and many of them friends, peers, coworkers, just random people, whatever it is. You want to make sure that you are building the network that you need and not the one that you want. So you want to focus on individuals who are actually going to be able to purchase or be involved with your product or service. Maybe if it is more of a professional brand, like you just want to drive awareness around who you are, you need to identify what it is that you do well in the planning phase, and then move down into what those people are, who those individuals are that you want to be connected with. Now, start building the network you need versus the one that you want. There's a very clear difference. Once you have started doing that, then you want to start finding the moments of chaos. And what I mean by the moments of chaos is this, is that in every story, there is a protagonist and an antagonist. You want to be the hero of your own story. And you don't necessarily have to make a person the antagonist, right? It could be an ideology, a methodology, some archaic process that you want people to wake up and change. When I was initially, let's go way back in time. When I first started off with, building out the category of social selling, what I ended up doing was looking at the sales trainers, kind of the methodologies around this cold calling culture, and everybody always really focusing into that. And as a salesperson, that was a pain for me. And so I used that kind of ideology, that process as my antagonist. And then I attacked it with this idea of social selling. And here's this great thing that other salespeople should be leveraging. It's easy to do. Using LinkedIn is not difficult. Building a professional brand on LinkedIn is not difficult. Finding clients on LinkedIn is not difficult. And in many ways, I actually do believe it is more beneficial and has a much longer term effect than the cold calling approach. So understand where the moments of chaos are, who's the antagonist. You want to be the hero of that story and start figuring out, based on your planning and the network you have, how to go about that. Then you start with the decision-making process, which is just an OODA loop, and it's OODA. And I'll leave a note here if you want to learn more about that. It's fascinating. I believe it has its roots in the military, and it is observe, orientate, decide, and act. So observe what's going on around you. What are the problems that people are facing? You want to observe these things. And in many ways, if you're watching this, or if you're in an industry and you've come across this video, it's because you know it inherently that there's something wrong and you want to do something else about it. So observe, orientate. Where are you in the mix of things, in the space-time continuum, whatever that is? Where are you in that space? Where's your product and service? All of those things. You want to observe, orientate, and then decide, what do you want to do about that? What is it going to come out as? When are you going to do it? And then the act, which is the A of the OODA. So do a quick OODA loop, understand, make a decision on what that next step is that you want to do, and then you act and you launch with content. So the next step is to actually launch. It could be a video, it could be a blog post, it could be just a status update. The more energy you put into it, the bigger the impact is going to be. So once you start making acting, launch with content, then you want to start owning that conversation. And so when I say own the conversation, I mean just that. If they're talking about I don't know, they're talking about transistor radios and you're in that business, you want to own that conversation. If they're talking about content and you are a content marketer, or if they're talking about program management and you are a PMM or a product, whatever it is, you want to start owning parts of that conversation that you know you have some kind of voice into based on the planning and authority that you want to develop. So start owning the conversation. This is really where the visibility creates the opportunity. And if you've done the steps above correctly, this is where the rubber meets the road and you really start seeing some traction. Once you start owning the conversation, you will naturally see things grow. It will grow through your profile views, it'll grow through downloads, whatever that kind of metric is that you are trying to drive people into, you will see the numbers increase. If you've done these other steps just organically, let alone all the gas you're going to start throwing on the fire. So once you start growing, you just continue doing it. Again, add fuel, create more content, find more content, add value in excess of whatever it is you're asking for in return. That's how you start developing the professional brand. I'm not even talking about selling anything at this point. You are literally just adding value and building up your authority, your influence in a certain space. Now, this then allows you, once you have this kind of authority, to be able to pivot into anything you want. This goes back to the conversation I was having with Tom Merriam. Once I had a professional brand, from the work I had done around social selling and LinkedIn and everything along those lines, that allowed me then to move into the hashtag Hire Coca, where my brand had actually helped find me my next roles. And now as I'm helping other individuals like yourself find ways to develop your own professional brand, my own brand is what's allowing me to do that. If you didn't know who I was, you wouldn't be here, right? So follow that step. Plan. Build the network you need, not the one that you want. Find the moments of chaos. You want to be the hero of your story. Make an OODA loop. Observe, orientate, decide, act, launch with content, whatever that content may be. Own the conversation. Find ways to make yourself omnipresent, where you're always a part of these conversations, and you will see the growth. And then when you are ready to pivot, it's not going to be difficult. It's going to be extremely easy for you to make that next move. All right, with that, thank you all very much. Talk to you soon.